Hi guys, once again this is Alfred from BinaryOptionsTutor.com here today with a little demonstration of, well, this would be, I guess, the first time we unravel some of the new things we came up with for the BigDaddy strategy. I put on a trade about 20 or 30 minutes ago. This is a counter trend trade, while the BigDaddy is actually a trend-based strategy. And you can see I put on about 5 contracts here. This is the Nadex platform. They're a fully CFTC regulated exchange. I won't call them a broker because they're actually an exchange. And I'm going to try and do a series about nothing but Nadex, because I'm in the process of transposing what I've always used to trade EU style binaries onto a 0 to 100 US style options exchange. So I've got this trade on here. We bought puts, we were selling, and we bought 5 contracts. Let's talk a little bit about the BigDaddy while we're waiting on that to settle. The BigDaddy is a trend-based strategy. Some of you will remember from the top of this year, we were doing BigDaddy signals. These are signals that they're basically trend-based signals that point to a trend direction over a period of around 2 hours. Now, when we very first started working on the idea of the BigDaddy, it was to try and find something that was intuitive and that easy to duplicate because it's intuitive for guys who wanted to pursue trading on Nadex. For years I've heard, what about Nadex? What about Nadex? What about Nadex? And you know, we never felt like we had something as intuitive. I think this is the most intuitive system that you can use for trading this strategy, and I want to just go over it in this video, explaining some of the anchors that we're using and pointing out some of the new little tweaks that we placed into this system. This is the template right here. Again, there are going to be some anchors that you guys are going to see that if you've looked at our videos over the years, and if you've ever purchased a premium strategy or even gotten some of the free content on our site, this is familiar with you. This is our round and whole numbers. So this and all of these statistical numbers here, this has always been there. It's our round and whole numbers. You know, we recently added pivots into this. You can see this is central pivot here, and this is resistance 1. We got in at that 120, 116 doing a put on the Nadex platform, which we had passed this resistance 1. Really kind of a tight trade. That's a counter trend trade. I just put it on for an example, but BigDaddy is all about trading with the trend. I want to point out what would have been a softer, I call it a softer trade. Okay, this is central pivot, and as I've said in the other videos, the pivots are calculated every day. And if we can see on the day that we're here, we're above central pivot, and this is the center of the universe for that day, then when we're trading above this number, the day is a positive day. This is a 200 moving average. If you were to probably survey a lot of professional traders, this moving average right here would be on a lot of charts. Again, if we're trading above this anchor, which is at 200 moving average, then an interpretation at a glance is that on the day it's just confirmation that we are actually, the sentiment of the market is positive for that day. These are, or well, don't let me skip this. This is our slope direction, and you can see at a point here, the slope direction turned positive, went from red to blue. This is another moving average, our 8 moving average. Again, as we start to trade above this, a lot of guys, especially for shorter term moves, they're using the 8. So, and I like the 8. It's, well, I hate to say things like it's my favorite moving average, because sometimes someone will write me and say, well, what's his best? And it's not really like cut and dry. It kind of, it's like asking someone who plays golf, well, what's the best club? And the best club is really probably better dictated by what you're trying to accomplish in the game. But it's a good anchor, and I'll often have the 8 EMA on my chart. I'll just say that. Now, we've got these anchors set up to all give us ideas at a glance. I'm sorry, I forgot Heiken Ashi here as well. You guys know I'm very big on the Heiken Ashi candles, and at a point these candles began to point upwards, and it give us an indication of a positive trend. Now, last but not least, we spent a very long time. This is the main reason it took us a while to get the BigDaddy to the public, because we like to try and, it's not so much entirely focusing on the strike rate, but also something that we're trying to accomplish is something that is easy to read, easy to interpret, because when you feel comfortable looking at and reading what's on the screen, you're going to feel more comfortable putting on that trade and sticking with that trade. That's my belief and my brother's belief, and that's why this took a while, guys. This is a new indicator that we call the crosswalk indicator. Now, what this indicator does is it's color coded, and it gives you a very dynamic, let's say, interpretation of the trend on the smaller wave form. Now let's simplify that. We've got red, 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 red. Okay, we got all these reds here in this area. Price action on our chart indicative of the same thing. The trading below the 8 EMA, Heiken Ashi red, slope direction red. These 200 moving average, the pivots, we're trading above them. Now, if everything is a wave, the bigger waves are telling us that as far as the day is concerned, this is positive. So if we go short, then in a day where the day is very positive, even if we look on here on our statistics and we look at the swing of the day, what's the swing of the day up, what's the swing of the day down, you've got that data there. Okay, so in my mind, I have to expect that if we are moving to the downside, perhaps everything I can see right now, forget trying to predict, but everything I can see right now would say that this isn't going to be a very strong run. Perhaps it's a buying opportunity to get in, and you'll see that this right here, we turned light green, which we've started to do these light green colors here, even oscillating below, and this can indicate a reversal, that a reversal is coming. In this instance, that candle closed, we did start to see that reversal, and that continued almost for a couple of hours there. So if you're an aggressive trader, you can use this indicator to try and catch those early reversals and get in there. We also have implemented the gray area into this indicator. If I'm not in a trade and I'm already seeing that these formations into the gray area, see, they're oscillating up. So being long, that correlates, but they're in the gray area. So if I'm not already in a trade, I'm not interested in getting in a trade, because usually that indicates that we're going to see a little chop in the market. If you look on the price action on the charts, that is what played out here. We see up, down, up. You see that little chop in the markets. If you're finna put on a trade and you're starting to get chopped from working with people, what I found is you just get impatient, because what you're looking, what you're hoping is going to happen just doesn't happen, and you get bored or impatient with the trade. You take it off, and the second you take it off, that's when what you were looking to accomplish with the trade starts to come to fruition. So if that's you and that's the way your mindset works, there's only two choices. It's just like a binary. Either you've got to change and build your patience up, or just try to avoid the gray area entirely, or maybe there's three choices, which is to work on both sides. For me, I'm trying to work on, still to this day, building that patience to give that trade time and room enough to play out, and also just avoiding trades where I can tell that the math is telling me that I'm in a gray area, where we may just, the market may just kind of hang out for a little while. I would rather get in when I start to see strong, this is that darker green color, and that's an indication of a strong uptrend. Now, on the trade that I put on, you can see we started here in this area, way back here, where we've got we're above the pivot, we're above 200 EMA, we're starting to color blue here. It took us a little while for the slope to finally catch up, but again, this slope is at a setting where these are all going to line up at different times. What you're probably going to see in most instances, our crosswalk indicator is built and designed by us to be very dynamic, so it's probably going to catch reversals and movements, changes in the waveform of the market a lot quicker. It doesn't mean that you don't want to be patient and still wait for everything to line up and that harmony to come in where you get these big moves, because this is what we're calling the BigDaddy Strategy, and it's all about trying to capture some big wave movements. Now here's where we've got everything lining up: the 200, our Heiken Ashi, our EMA. We've for probably an hour or so, we already had indications of an uptrend. And if you want to be aggressive, you know, you could have gotten in based off of the crosswalk. You still had a lot on your side, the 200, um, pivot, EMA, etc. But here's a better area because everything is lining up. And the softer thing to do would have been to take position for a couple hours and go long. And again, there's a little pullback there. You get to see these weak. This is the first sign right here. It's oscillating above the zero line, but yet we're seeing the first sign of a week. Now this is an indication of a possible reversal. So when you're seeing that, you will sometimes get, and there goes that little downtrend back down, almost touching that whole number there. So it doesn't necessarily mean though, and we started to see these gray areas. We did see a little chop, and then we saw a resumption of that uptrend, which right there we've got that strong indication on our crosswalk. We've got everything lining up again, and that would have been the softer trade for me to take, not the counter trend trade, but the softer trade is trading with the trend. That's what the BigDaddy indicator is all about. That's what we've been working really hard, myself and my brother, to put together to try and make this as intuitive as we can get it, and to use recycling a lot of the stuff that we've been using now. Every trade that we done on Twitter from the top of the year, those first 6 weeks, was all using a lot of the anchors that are all right here and available inside of this strategy. The only thing, this custom crosswalk indicator we did develop in about the last couple of months. It's an amalgamation of a few different formulas and a few different indicators to give us a little dynamic, a little bit more dynamic interpretation of what's going on. But that's a little preview of the BigDaddy Strategy, guys. Just wanted to let you guys know that we are working on that trade here, still going on. We're going to see what happens with this puppy. I'll try and come back around the end of this trade, and we'll see what happens. Until next time, guys. I'll be back at the end of this trade, and we'll see how this works out. It is a counter trend trade, but thought I'd put it on since I'm going to show you guys the BigDaddy anyway. So I'm going to pause right here. Okay, guys, we are now finally really down to the last few minutes, and let's take a look at our chart. You can see we're still hanging out there. This is in profit, our little counter trend trade that we had going on. Let's look at our BigDaddy chart here. Okay, you can see we had some wicks, and you know, they tried us. This is our part one. We finally started to see, there's that, I was talking about it earlier in this video, there's that reversal, but we're above the zero line, and we could start to see that forming there. There's that push back. You can see it reflected in the price action. Too strong, but then there's once again that resumption of that reversal, potential reversal there in this crosswalk indicator, and can see it finally, our good organic formation of the 8 coming down here below the coming down below our slope direction. Now we're still well above 200, still well above pivot. The day was positive, guys. You know, nothing's going to change with the day. I was doing a counter trend trade. Looks like this trade is about to expire in the money. We're in a gray area here, but again, we got to also look at time because we're trading binaries in time. There just wasn't that much time left in the day, and we had reached key resistance level. That was the only logic in putting on this trade. Now, as I said earlier, again, softer trade, way back here, softer trade to put on and just ride the trend, which was predominantly up all of this time. It has been predominantly up. That would have been a softer trade. This is a trade that worked, but this is a counter trend trade, and it's way easier, in my opinion. For more people, it's going to be easier to swim with the current than against the current. And that's why we started the journey of working on the BigDaddy strategy, working on ideas to do longer term. The green arrow strategy has been very well received. Green arrow strategy, lots of guys out there trading the strategy. We're still supporting and updating the strategy. We're still available in the chat room. If you've purchased the strategy and you want to come and discuss some things, and very shortly, we believe this week we'll be releasing this BigDaddy strategy, bringing all of these components together, our new custom indicator, crosswalk, TI, and also all of the other components that I explained earlier for our BigDaddy. You can go back and look on our public Twitter. One thing I'm not seeing a lot of guys do, and that is to go and post some signals in real time onto a public third-party platform like Twitter. This is what we done at the top of the year. No matter what, when this year first started, we had an idea that we were going to post signals, and you can see that trade there. I just got a letter. That trade's over. It expired in the money. New day. This platform here, this is a US this is Oanda US platform, so the day would start over now at this point. That's all I have for today, guys. A little not necessarily a trend-based trade, but giving you an example of what's a softer trend-based trade would have been this way. A little bit tougher trade going this way, counter trend, but transposing and implementing this on the Nadex platform, a wonderful platform, CFTC regulated. I'm going to be doing more videos in the future trying to explain my own personal opinions based on my own personal experience trading on the Nadex platform. You guys stay tuned for that. Once again, this is Alfred from BinaryOptionsTutor.com. See you guys on the next video. Like, share, comment, subscribe. If this has helped you, please help us by informing others.